Okay, so sorry about the delay in this. Thank you all for joining, and I'm gonna just talk about whatever changes we're doing to the BSL3 upstairs now that the SARS side is up and running and some of the kinks and things have been worked out. And the purpose of this training is to just get everybody who's eventually coming back to start working on TB in this BSL3 facility just up on the same page. And so you can go in. So in the past, anybody that has started to work on the TB side, more recently we've asked to train in person just to kind of show them anything that was moved, where it was moved to, anything that needs to be done differently. But with the mass of people that hopefully will start up again, we thought a just Zoom one training for all would just save everybody's time and get everyone on the same page, and then also give the opportunity to, if there's any issues or any concerns, to address them and make changes that everybody's happy with at the end. So just a few disclaimers. So I am going to show some of the layouts and things that are like related to the SARS side, but I am not really going into any details as to like anything that's being done on the SARS side in terms of operation on that side. But the main reason for that is this training is geared towards people who are already used to working with TB, and it's just really highlighting anything that's different from what we used to do, and so that people can just go ahead and start working. On the SARS side, that's not really a thing, because anyone who wants to start working over there is still going to have to get trained in person and shadow somebody / be shadowed, and then be shadowed by someone. So anyone who wants to work over there, this isn't really going to help you, but anyone who wants to work on the TB side, this one's for you. And just a reminder, I think I have it at the end too, just I send out this refresher acknowledgement form. If you can complete that and just send it back to me, that would be great. So we have a record of who's been trained, and just that you're agreeing to follow whatever changes in operation we've made. Okay, yeah, Fenna, go ahead. This is, I don't know anything about the animal facility BSL3, unfortunately. I did try to get some information and really wasn't able to get anywhere. So definitely anybody who has no interest in working in the 176 BSL3 facility and has better things to do, I'm not offended if you leave. So this is all good. Thank you guys for, yeah, so good. So this is just like a general overview of what I'm planning on talking about today. So I'm going to go through just the new layout of the facility, the changes in donning and doffing, some of the operational changes, and then a few reminders on autoclave and general things. And there's also a new hood reservation system that is not, it exists, people can use it, it's not mandatory, but it might be something that in the future, if there's more use, might be useful. And then today's Amit's birthday. Happy birthday. If anybody sees him, give him a virtual safety distant high five. So the BSL3 facility, this is, I'm sure like a lot of you hopefully have seen the layout floor plan. So here shaded in 176 is on the left here. This is the BSL2 lab, and then you would enter through the anteroom right here, and then shaded in blue are the areas that are now designated for TB and not SARS work, and then shaded in yellow are the areas that are designated for SARS-CoV-2 work. And because this is separation of space, we now have 3 different booty-free zones throughout the facility. So there is a designated entrance and exit for the TB side. on the 176B side. So there's a booty-free zone and doffing station on that side. There is a designated entry-exit zone on 176D door side to the anteroom, and that's this booty-free zone here. And then there is also a booty-free zone that's positioned at the intersection between the SARS and TB side, because so mostly for if people need to leave this area to access, say, the autoclave, there is as like an intermediate doffing station here, so that PPE, there's a change of PPE before they go in. So just some of the pictures. So if you're in the anteroom, everything should be labeled and color coded, and I'm going to update some of these labels over the weekend. But the door on the left is going to be the door that you will be entering into the TB side, so the 176B side. I've tried to use blue for TB side labels and yellow for SARS side labels. So, I'm not sure if everything is 100% consistent with that. So the door by the sink is labeled for SARS-CoV-2. So this is the side for, don't go through that side unless you're working over there. And then exiting, this is now on the BSL3 side of both of those. So there's the booty-free zones that I had mentioned and the doffing stations. So this is in 176B, so the TB exit, and 176D, the SARS exit. So this is the first major change from our previous SOP, where we had a unidirectional one entrance door and then an exit door on the other side of the facility. So now you would enter and exit through the same door, just a heads up. So then this is the zone that is in between the booty-free zone, in between the SARS and the TB zone. On the left here is a picture of the view if you're standing in the room with the autoclave and you're looking toward the window. So I think a lot of people may, just to appreciate the fact that this is still TB side. So the SARS side ends right where the wall is here, and there is the booty-free zone will be down, and the doffing station is right here. And this is all fairly clearly labeled. So there's the instructions for how to read off when you leave the SARS zone are posted here. On the TB side, or facing the TB side, is a big sign that says stop, you're entering the SARS-CoV-2 zone. On the other side of this, you can't really see it here, is a sign that just says stop, no SARS-CoV-2 beyond here. And everybody's trained, so they're making sure it should be fairly obvious. It does not say step over, but still it's pretty clearly labeled, but do be mindful if you're just walking over here, you should also not step into this accidentally from the TB side either. It should just be a booty-free zone where people should feel comfortable to step without booties on and without worrying about dragging something in. So then this is then what the SARS side looks like from the computer. So there is the two hoods there. Some of the things have gotten moved a little bit. There's a new computer, some plate readers. There's a incubator, fridge, and -80 is here now. So this is a little bit out of date, but more or less this is what it looks like. And so then the main room, the main TB room, so a lot of things have gotten moved around. So there are now, we're now down to the two hoods in 176B. This is the view from the front of the room. And there are, in this room, there's two TB incubators, like the tall standing incubators. One here, one all the way in the back between the two -80s. The meter fridge that used to be back here is now right here between the two hoods. And then the CO2 incubator is not in this picture, but it has arrived and has been installed. That's right here next to the doffing station. And this is just the same view from the other room, other end of the room. So then going into the middle room in the back, 176C, where the autoclave is. So from right to left. So there are two additional. So you still have access to all 4 TB incubators. One is right here by the autoclave. It's plugged in and working. This is the one with the roller bottle apparatus. I am not sure if the roller bottle apparatus works, but that's a different issue. And then there's, this one was not moved. This is the TB incubator that has the top blocked off with foil for any light sensitive things, incubations that need to happen. And the culture fridge that is around the corner is still there and still accessible. And then as well as the computer, plate reader, scanner, and camera are on the counter back here. They were not moved, and we still have access to them. So that's has not changed and is still accessible to everybody. Then there's, in the middle room to the left of the autoclave, there is a few things that are like, I think there's empty things. There are some personal things that were taken out of some of the drawers on the what is now the SARS side to make room for things. So I think they're all labeled with the users. And over time, if people can just go in and find their things and just find a new home for them, if they haven't yet, that I think in the long run that will be good. I think there's also some non-functional equipment that we still need to get rid of.
Steph, may I make a quick comment?
Yeah.
So in the personal things that were moved, in fact, no anyone's stuff that was moved, that person themselves moved it. So as far as we know, no one's stuff was been like that is unaware of it. None of their things have been moved.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so that's it in terms of facility tour. I just I hope everybody kind of get a sense of how things get moved around and where things are to now. So there are a few changes that we've made to donning and doffing procedures. They're pretty they're similar for both sides. And in terms of donning, there's mostly like you have like 2 parts, and the only changes is the hair covers, which we've had in there for a little while now, but they have not been mandatory, but they're now officially part of the PPE and should be included by everyone. And then the addition of sleeves over the blue gowns. And so you have your booties, your first pair of gloves, a yellow gown, and a hairnet that you will put on first. And then you would finish it up with the blue gown, the white sleeves, which you should poke a thumb hole through so that to prevent it from riding up your arm when you're working. And then lastly, a second pair of gloves that you put on over the sleeves. And new instructions are, they're hanging. I've condensed them to just make them a little bit easier to follow. So then those are also going up this weekend. And also we have a new entry exit log for BSL3, and this is in part because we're changing this is like the operational changes I'm now getting into are really some included in what everybody should be doing now for doffing and for donning when you're entering the facility is checking and emptying the autoclave and checking and emptying, if needed, the anteroom common based. So just in terms of like for the log, the information hasn't changed. For the BSL3 agent, just write, like as always, write whatever it is that you're working with. Then what has changed, so I've removed comments because really we don't really use that anyways, but I did add just a couple of rows of just comments at the bottom. So if there are any things, you don't add it in under your entry, you just write it at the bottom of the page, and we'll just to keep a record of everything still. So when you're signing in, you should be still entering the date, the name, the time in, what you're working with, and then in this column here, autoclave based in, just initial or check or write yes or whatever it is that you want to do, or no if you didn't do it, to state that yes, I checked and emptied the autoclave, and yes, I checked and emptied the anteroom waste. And then this last column will be like on the way out. After you come out, you fill out the timeout, and then we'll talk about this with doffing. So the I'm also posting new autoclave instructions. I'll hopefully also make things a little bit more straightforward. Just one general reminder: we've had a lot of issues with this autoclave over the years, and right now, how this autoclave is programmed is that all runs have to be started from inside of the lab, from inside of the BSL3 facility. So you can absolutely, especially lately, there's been a lot of issues with the first floor autoclave that being down the regular one. You're welcome to use this autoclave to autoclave things, but just please start cycles from the inside and follow these instructions. Otherwise, the autoclave throws a fit and displays an error, and then it'll also be down for however long down comes until you can reset it. So yeah, when you're just generally when you're unloading the autoclave, make sure you document the maximum temperature and the integrator strip into the autoclave logbook, which is here. And I've also in this I've included what we do with whatever is in the autoclave, because I'm not sure if everybody was clear on that either. So just any solid trash you should be boxing up in a regular biohazard box and then bring it out to the hallway. Glassware, sterile glassware gets placed in the glassware bins next to the sinks in 176, and then usually Linda or somebody will wash that and then autoclave them to put it back into circulation. Empty pipette tip boxes, there is a collection underneath the middle sink in 176, where once these are autoclaved, they can also be added to that pile, and then those also get washed and refilled. And any liquid waste that's coming out of the BSL3 and any liquid remaining in the tray should get poured or collected in the drum next to the autoclave, which is right here. And then lastly, when you're done unloading the autoclave, make sure that you seal the door on the outside and that the door is sealed. Otherwise, you will not be able to open it from the inside. So then just a few other reminders just regarding autoclave. All cycles start from inside, and never, ever, ever abort a cycle for the same reason as not following these instructions in the right order is the autoclave really doesn't like it, and just usually malfunctions, and it's not something that we can reset ourselves, so then we have to call and request service. There is also, we have new clear autoclave bags. Those are used for the, we have new red step trash bins that are used for the common wastes. And the trash bags, the autoclave bags that fit those bins are clear, not orange, not red, but they are autoclavable, just to give you a heads up. They don't look like it, but they are. And when you're autoclaving just common waste, it doesn't have to be double bagged, but anything else needs to be still double bagged. And no matter what you're autoclaving, it needs to be in Nalgene trays. I've been seeing lately, like there's been a lot of one tray with a bag and then another bag that is not in a tray. And sometimes those bags do melt and then stick to various things in the autoclave. So please, just everything should be in Nalgene trays. And then, yeah. And it would be great if maybe once a week the autoclave screen, which is in the front, you pictured here, gets emptied and checked.
I got one question about the autoclave. Are there programs for fluids and for dry cycles?
Yes, there is. So there are two programs that are currently programmed into. There's 6 slots. Of those 6 slots, 5 of them say waste 60. So that's the general cycle that you can use for anything that's solid. And then there's one liquid waste cycle. I think it's LIQ based. And that's for any liquid. So the anything that's solid, like whether it's glassware or trash, use any of the waste 60 cycles. They're all the same. And anything that's liquid, use the liquid waste cycle.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
So then operational changes. So this is where I think we have the most of the things. So I'm just going to very briefly go through them, and a lot of them I think I'm going to go through in a little bit more detail in a minute. So the bigger picture is that now in the past we've had a we have cleaning rotations for the BSL3, and in the past it's been the responsibility of whoever is on cleaning rotation to autoclave any of the common waste and to refill or top off Vesphine and ethanol bottles here. This is no longer going to be the responsibility of the person on cleaning rotation. This is now something that everybody who's actively using the facility needs to be doing for themselves. And the easiest way we thought, especially with the common waste, this is why it's now on the entry and exit log on your way in. Make sure the autoclave is empty so that you can start a run before you leave, which is another requirement for all users. And check the common waste on your way in, so you can, if it's full, you can just start a run. You throw it in with whatever else you're accumulating over the time. And the other 2 major things is that we are now we're going to get rid of all of the personal trash bins and instead just go to a system where we have 1 bin for each BSC that should be emptied after every use. And we're not going to use personal Vesphine buckets anymore either. We're going to use 1 shared bucket where the first user of the day, when you first open up a hood, the first thing you would do is discard the disinfection solution that's from previous days. And the reasons behind this are a lot of it went, so there is now obviously we've cut our space in half. Or so in order to decrease clutter or things that and make more space in the long run, we were thinking of different ways how we can do this. A lot of these things were actually suggested for a long time. We were going to implement these changes in 2016 when we last had major changes, and I don't really remember why we didn't end up doing it, but doing it, especially with the trash rotation and things, this will distribute whatever the work is more fairly according to the people, who's using the facility more. So, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for a trash rotation person to go in. If the facility is being used quite a bit, then you're just gowning up and wasting PPE sometimes as often as multiple times a day just to go start the autoclave. It makes a lot more sense for the person who's already entering the facility to go work in there to just start the autoclave in it adds maybe a couple of minutes to somebody who's actually working as opposed to the minimum of half an hour that it would take just to go in to start the autoclave and collect trashes and all of that. We're also hoping to just avoid what we've had issues with in the past. Granted, the picture on the right was an extreme after the autoclave was down for some time, but we're hoping that this will kind of just make everything a little bit more streamlined and avoid solid waste and liquid waste built up over time. So that brings me into the cleaning rotations. changing the responsibilities now, hopefully there will be just a focus on just making sure everything, like on restocking and general housekeeping of the facility. So the cleaning rotations are going to be responsible still for restocking shared supplies and autoclaving out glassware and tip boxes, which shouldn't be nearly as frequent as common waste. They're still responsible for refilling the ethanol carboys. There's one on the doffing station and one in the anteroom. And then sweeping when mopping and bleaching the booty-free zones, which should be done once a week. And then just monitor general housekeeping. So confirm that the trashes are being emptied out as they should be, and confirm that the countertops are uncluttered and that there aren't any major issues. They are not responsible for actually doing this cleaning up. That's still the responsibility of the user. And same with refilling Vesphine and ethanol bottles. That really should be done if you're using something. If you're using ethanol and the bottle is empty or almost empty, you should just fill it up from the carboy and not just like leave it sitting there empty and waiting for somebody else to do it. And same with Vesphine. And waste we had mentioned already. So.
I have how many times or how often we have to sweep, mop, bleach, bite-free?
So I'm not going to go through. I'm gonna have we're going to train anybody who's going to have a cleaning rotation before they start the cleaning rotation. This is not. It's beyond the scope of what we're doing today. Just an over like a 5,000-foot view of bigger changes, if that. Okay, so regarding the liquid waste, this is the changes that we're doing. So in the past, we've had these little white buckets where, you know, like anybody, like if when you're starting your work, you're making a Vesphine solution to then disinfect your cultures and your pipette tips, and and then those liquid the disinfection buckets are then usually left in the hood for overnight or longer. And in the past, we've had issues periodically with just many items being left in the hood, and then people forget that they have things that they still need to clean out, and then it'll be months later and stuff still isn't being taken care of. So since we only have 2 hoods right now, I think it's a recipe for disaster to continue doing that personal liquid-based system. So what we're going to do instead is just have one Vesphine bucket in each BSC. So the first person of the day would, when you start up the BSC, discard that Vesphine down the sink with running water, make fresh Vesphine solution and put a new date on it of that day. And then you should add enough Vesphine to potentially disinfect the entire bucket. And then any user that comes and uses the BSC the same day can add to the same bucket, as long as it's still the same date and doesn't overflow. And then that bucket would then be emptied the next day, or whenever the next time somebody comes in and uses the BSC. So one thing that came up when we were talking about doing this, so in the past, some people like to disinfect or their cultures in individual tubes or flasks and various other containers. We're not going to be able to do that anymore, and because those also sit there for a while. So instead, what you should do is just, if you have individual tubes of cultures, just empty them into the Vesphine bucket. And then you could rinse the individual tubes with additional Vesphine just to get the inside also exposed to Vesphine, and dump that out and into the bucket as well. And then collect the solid waste in a red bag and autoclave that out with everything else. So don't sterilize your individual, don't leave individual tubes with Vespine in there consolidated. Okay. So then the personal trash bins. So on the left, this is just like, so essentially this system is what they're doing on the SARS side, which is pictured over here. So there's one clear bin by each hood, and that should be, if the hood is not in use, that bin should be empty. There should not be a bag in it. So it should be blatantly obvious that it is empty and people are following the right use. And then, so when you're working and you know you're going to be generating a good amount of trash, you can, at the start, I would put in an orange line the bin with an orange bag and collect your solid waste. When you're done working, you should then tie up whatever waste it is that you generated during the time that you were working. And before you leave the facility, you should check the community waste at the doffing station. And on your way in, you should have checked the community waste in the anteroom as well. So if either of the community wastes are full, you can then combine your personal waste with the community waste, and you should be autoclaving all of those things out. If the autoclave is running when you're doing all of this, it's okay to then just get everything ready for autoclaving. So double bagging things, labeling with your name, the PI, and the date, and leaving it in an autoclave tray just sitting by the autoclave. And then the next person or somebody from the SARS side can throw it in the autoclave when the autoclave is done. If you only have very minimal waste, like neither of the community wastes were full, and you just checked your culture, so you have 2 cuvettes and 1 pipette tip, it's really not worth starting the autoclave for that. So in that case, it's okay to just bag everything up in a small red bag or whatever size bag is appropriate, seal that bag, label it, wipe the outside with Vespine, and then leave it in the community waste bin. You can, the SARS people from the SARS side have generously offered to add it to, we can add it to the red bin that's at the intermediate doffing zone in 176D in the back. But you could also just add it to the doffing trash on the TB side as well. Any questions on anything? So then this now brings me to leaving. So before you leave the facility, the biosafety cabinets. This has been, I don't know why people keep doing this. I think every training we mention this, but just please remember to turn off the motor with the sash lower. So the motor should never be running when the sash of the hood is down. It's really hard on the motor breaks and they're expensive. So the BSCs should be all left, like you should turn the motor off, you should lower the sash, you can turn the UV on, and then this is a new thing. I don't know how well this comes across, but there is these new pipette aids that are installed, one in each hood, that work really well, and they're the station that they're hanging on also charges them. So because they're plugged in the hood, you want to leave the outlet on so that the pipette aids can charge. Yeah. So then the other thing before you leave, you want to make sure you check and empty, if need be, any of the common waste. And then start the autoclave with any of your personal and whatever trash has accumulated. And then this is not really before you leave, it should be after you leave, but just a reminder, your PAP or hoods and hoses need to be stored in drawers. Don't leave them hanging on a hook in the anteroom. So this is the doffing station on the BSL3 side here, pictured on the left. These are the new trash bins that I had mentioned. And this sign here is essentially just shows it. Like, so there is it's a step can, and we were trying to figure out how we can best do this with the booty-free zone. So really, any of these trash cans you should not step on the step paddle with booties on. ever. Just so I have a video of the doffing procedure that Deepa kindly took. The first thing, it got a little bit cut off, but just the very first thing you want to do is before you really start your doffing, is take a new Clorox wipe, and you want to just bleach your outer gloves. And then you want to take off your booties one at a time, and then with your unbootied shoe, step into the booty-free zone. And then without wearing a bootie, you can then open like the trash can and throw out your booties. And then want to unclip your pepper and set it on the cart and untie the blue gown, and you want to peel it forward over down your arms so that you're only inside is only touching the inside, and the potentially contaminated outer sides isn't touching anything. So in one motion, you want to take off your blue gown, white sleeves, and outer gloves and wrap it all up just like that. And that is pretty much it. You then take a new Clorox wipe, and you want to wipe down your face shield, your hood, and your hose. And then lastly, you drop it, you should grab a new bleach wipe, wipe down your pepper, and then you want to bleach just the top of the cart, and you're good to go, and you can leave into the anteroom. I'm not covering anteroom. Anteroom is the same thing as you're just, you can then turn off your pepper, put your hood and hose away, take off the blue gown, the yellow gown, and the other gloves, and your hairnet, and sign out. So that, so then on the exit log, we don't really need to talk about it, but then sign the timeout, and on the autoclaved waste out column, essentially you're acknowledging that you did in fact start the autoclave, and you check the common waste on the inside. And I'm just going to mention, so I'm not talking about the only difference I think that we are doing with SARS and TB in terms of donning and doffing is that anyone who has worked on the SARS side and is leaving that zone, after they enter the anteroom, there's an additional step where they're ethanol, wiping the hood, hose, and pepper down with ethanol before they're putting them away. And I think that's the end of the training. So I'm just very kind of briefly go through this hood sign-up system. I don't know. This is yeah. I made a new system. It's a Google Calendar reservation system. This is the login. It's 176 BSL3 and the password TB Center P3, capitalized appropriately as it is here. There is one specific calendar for unique to each BSC. So this is, I set this up for the TB side and for the SARS side, so it could be used by everybody. You can also share this with your own personal Google account, so you don't have to log into this every time to make a reservation. So as I mentioned before, this is not mandatory. I made this. I suggest that maybe people may want to use it, especially if use increases. If nobody is using the facility and you're not worried about it, then go ahead. Like it may not be needed. But if at some point there's increased use, this might be a solution when the time comes. But I'm gonna leave that up to other people to decide how they want to go about actually using this. This is what it looks like once you sign in. So there is the Google Calendar, Hood 1 TB, Hood 2 TB, 3 and 4 SARS. What you do to make an event, if you're not familiar with it, I'm also happy if anybody doesn't know how to use Google Calendar, happy to go through this, but essentially just click wherever you want to add in when you want to sign up for a hood, or you can click up here on the create button, and it'll pop up something like this. So under the title for the event, you want to add your name and then your PI, so that if there is a conflict or anything, they can say, I sign up for the hood on Tuesday from like at 10, and then Outlook like realizes that he has to go do like a 6-hour experiment, he can then come to me and be like, hey Steph, can I possibly kick you out and do it a little bit later or earlier? Down here, you want to just, I think it defaults to this calendar, TB Center. So just click here and then select whichever hood that you're using and then hit save, and that's the end. Then the other thing that I also did is just for just an FYI, or if you're on this side, if you need any more information about these hoods, you can select as like a little drop down, like 3 little dots. You click on those and it pops up this thing. If you click on settings and sharing, it brings you to this view that then has like, so for hood 2, for each of the hood, I also included like in descriptions where they're located in case you're not sure about it. And I included the serial numbers, which in the event or whenever, if there's like a light bulb out, you can then also go into this calendar and look up and find the serial number that correlates that we would need to give to the person to replace the bulb or for repairs and whatnot. And then here, if you scroll down, it would give you the option to share the calendar, get like a link and share the calendar with your own calendar. And that's all I have. So remember to review and sign and return the refresher acknowledgement form to me whenever you get a chance to. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you have questions or any comments or suggestions, you can also email me, or anytime anyone wants to talk about anything, let me know. That's it.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Steph.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you guys for joining, and hope everybody has a nice weekend.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Steph.
Steph.
Really nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, Steph, can you send out that Google Calendar link, or did you already send that out?
If I did, I'm happy to send it out again. I'm not sure.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, if anybody, whoever is still here, I forgot to mention the spectrophotometers. There's 2 spectrophotometers in the BSL3. One is the blank button doesn't seem to be working, which happens periodically. In the past, Will has always very generously replaced and fixed things for us, but Will's no longer here. So somebody at some point will need to fix it. And the other one that is still working, the plug where you plug it in I don't want to say broken, but it's a little bit loose on the inside and it bends easily. So just be fairly gentle when you plug in that spectrophotometer. Thank you.
Thank you, Steph.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Steph. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.